Psalm 132, God's covenant with David and his dwelling in Zion. Psalm 132 is a prayerful reflection on the relationship between God and David, between divine promise and human devotion, and between God's chosen dwelling place and his people. It recalls Israel's history not merely to preserve memory, but to affirm that God is faithful to his covenant and active among those who seek him. The psalm opens by asking God to remember David and the hardships he willingly embraced for the sake of God's presence. David's afflictions are not portrayed as punishment but as sacrificial devotion. He bound himself by oath to give no rest to his own comfort until a dwelling place was secured for the Lord. This language emphasizes the intensity of David's desire that God's presence be honored at the center of Israel's life. It highlights a heart ordered toward God's glory rather than personal ease, showing that genuine love for God expresses itself in costly obedience. The psalm then recalls how the Ark of the Covenant, the symbol of God's powerful and covenantal presence, was sought out and brought to its resting place. The people speak collectively, remembering how they heard of it and found it, and they invite one another into worship. God is portrayed as enthroned in heaven yet choosing to dwell among his people, with the ark described as his footstool. The prayer that the priests be clothed with righteousness and that the faithful shout for joy underscores that worship must be grounded in holiness and results in gladness. Righteousness is not merely ceremonial but reflects a life aligned with God's will, and joy flows naturally from being in his presence. The psalm then appeals to God on the basis of his promises to David, asking that he not turn away the face of his anointed king. This appeal is rooted not in the worthiness of any ruler, but in God's faithfulness to his word. The Lord's oath to David is recalled in strong terms. It is a sworn promise that cannot be revoked. God pledged that a descendant of David would sit upon his throne, and while the continuation of individual kings depended on their obedience, the larger promise of an enduring kingship rested on God's unchanging faithfulness. As the psalm progresses, the focus shifts from David's desire to God's own choice. Zion is declared to be the place God has chosen for his dwelling, not because of its natural significance, but because it pleased him to do so. God describes it as his resting place forever, emphasizing his intention to remain with his people. From this dwelling flows blessing, provision for the needy, salvation for those who serve before him, and joyful praise from the faithful. These promises reveal a God who cares for both the material and spiritual well-being of his people and who brings life and rejoicing where he dwells. The psalm reaches its climax with the promise that the strength of David's line will grow and that a lamp will be prepared for God's anointed. The imagery of the horn and the lamp speaks of power, continuity, and hope. While enemies will be covered with shame, the crown of the anointed king will flourish. This language points beyond any single historical king to a lasting fulfillment, where God's chosen ruler reigns securely and triumphantly. This vision of an enduring, victorious king ultimately finds its fulfillment in Christ, the anointed Son of David, whose reign is established by God and whose kingdom does not pass away. Taken as a whole, Psalm 132 testifies that God delights to dwell with his people, honors those who seek him sincerely, and remains unwaveringly faithful to his covenant. It draws together devotion, worship, promise, and hope, ultimately pointing to a reign established by God himself, marked by righteousness, provision, and joy.
Psalm 132, a song of ascents. Lord, remember David and all his afflictions, how he swore to the Lord and vowed to the Mighty One of Jacob, surely I will not go into the chamber of my house, or go up to the comfort of my bed. I will not give sleep to my eyes, or slumber to my eyelids, until I find a place for the Lord, a dwelling place for the Mighty One of Jacob. Behold, we heard of it in Ephrathah, we found it in the fields of the woods. Let us go into his tabernacle, let us worship at his footstool. Arise, O Lord, to your resting place, you and the ark of your strength. Let your priests be clothed with righteousness, and let your saints shout for joy. For your servant David's sake, do not turn away the face of your anointed. The Lord has sworn in truth to David, he will not turn from it. I will set upon your throne the fruit of your body, if your sons will keep my covenant and my testimony which I shall teach them. Their sons also shall sit upon your throne forevermore. For the Lord has chosen Zion. He has desired it for his dwelling place. This is my resting place forever. Here I will dwell, for I have desired it. I will abundantly bless her provision. I will satisfy her poor with bread. I will also clothe her priests with salvation, and her saints shall shout aloud for joy. There I will make the horn of David grow. I will prepare a lamp for my anointed. His enemies I will clothe with shame, but upon himself his crown shall flourish.